Hello and welcome to another episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. I'm Mike Evans.
And I'm David Price.
And David, on this week's riff, what are we going to talk about?
It is the Cyrus i9XR integrated amplifier, Mike.
And it's not just an integrated amplifier, is it? Because it's got a DAC built in.
There you go.
There you are, you see.
Yeah.
There you are, I've done my homework.
That's very clever. Nothing
Yes.
gets past you.
No, absolutely.
That will explain the digital inputs on the back there, won't it?
And you know where I look when I first took an amplifier, don't you?
Yes,
So,
you don't even know the brand of it till you've
turned it around.
gone over it every last RCA phono on it.
Sad but true. Sad
Yes.
but true.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what put this product on my radar? It was almost this time last year, and we were at the Bristol show, and you'd gone off to have a press meeting with somebody and left me on a lurch. And rather than just going straight to the bar, I thought I'd actually have a wander around and look at some rooms.
Steady on.
I know, and it was in the morning. Not that makes any difference.
Oh,
anyway, so I went.
You'll grow out of that sort of
I know.
dedication and commitment, Mike.
So I went into the Cyrus room, and they had all their kit, and they've got some really cool stuff, and it all looks really smart. And they were making the most incredible noise. Yeah. And I thought, this is amazing, actually. And I sat down and actually sat there for quite a while, because I was really beguiled by the sound. And had a little chat with a couple of the Cyrus guys afterwards, and said, oh my gosh, what's plugged in then? Expecting it to be sort of 6 mono blocks and blah, blah. And it was the i9 and the power supply, and that was it. That's all it was. And I actually didn't believe them at first. But I was so impressed by the sound it made.
Did you stand up and say, "I'm sorry, I don't believe it"?
I don't believe you. And it was terrific. And look, it's really hard to make a good sound at hi-fi shows, isn't it?
Certainly is.
We've talked about this before, but they were doing it, and they really were rocking the place. And I was just nothing but impressed. And in fact, we also went to visit the guys, didn't we? We did a riff where we were very kindly invited up to their HQ, and we had a chat with them, and we saw how these things were made. And in fact, it's quite interesting.
Made in the UK.
Made in the UK, in their own factory, which was very impressive. And once you've seen the process behind being made, it all falls into place actually as to why they sound so good, because they're really nicely put together amplifiers, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're not messing around, are they?
Quality bits of kit. Lots of quality components. Really well thought out. I was also very impressed by their quality control as well. Where they're just making sure that every amp sounds the same. They all meet that very highly tolerant spec. All of those things. So really, really good stuff. You've got one here. We've got one here. They're heavy bits of kit, aren't they? Yeah, look at that.
So there you go, Mike.
You're showing look at you. See, a man after my own heart. Should we turn the camera around? Actually, there is probably every single connectivity you could possibly imagine on the back, including this little umbilical, which you're taking out now, which you probably should have taken out beforehand. This is what connects it to the power supply. Which you don't have to use.
Which is called the PSU-XR.
PSU-XR, which is their top-of-the-range power supply. You don't need to use it. It'll work as a standalone.
There you go. Would you like to inspect that?
Thank you. Nice, very nice lead. Look, excellent. Looks like something you used to have on a printer.
I was going to say, it looks like a printer lead.
Exactly.
But, albeit with a much better gold-plated connector.
Yes, quite. So here she is. This is the bad boy.
Well, would you like to?
When you fire it up, it even says made in Great Britain on it, which is quite cool. Am I looking the wrong way around?
I think we've already looked at the sides. There we go. It does also have a fascia. There you go.
It does. Very nice one as well. When everything really feels very lovely and solid on it. Nice volume pop and all of those lovely things. And as you say, the giveaway for the digital outputs is all on the back, isn't it? So there's a plethora of different inputs.
What does that mean?
Loads. There's loads of them, including a USB digital input.
Would you like to show the viewers, so not rather than just keeping it all to yourself?
There we go. Look at that.
So there's the plethora
over
the
there.
Yes, just in this area.
Thank you.
So digital inputs there, and lots of other inputs and speakers and stuff like that. Just lots of stuff that
Lots
Mike,
of stuff,
Mike
yes.
could tell you in great detail about.
It does all sorts of. It does pretty much everything.
It's
Actually,
all
this
beyond
lamp.
my pay grade.
Yeah, no, it does pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Beautifully made as well.
God, it really is. Yeah.
So this sort of industrial design look, as it were, first surfaced on the your start of a 10 mic on the Cyrus. Not the 1, not the 2.
The 3.
Yes. So we
And
got there in the
down.
end. So,
Yes, and everything matches beautifully.
Yeah.
And they have a really cool stand as well, don't they?
Yeah.
A really wicked stand that
Yeah.
makes it look super aesthetic.
Yeah.
I like the form factor. We've talked about this before.
Would you like to show the?
Well, this was going to be my party trick.
Oh,
You see,
all right.
this is my little party trick because I've got a magic box here.
Okay.
So I really like the i9.
Yeah.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
DAC's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's bundled.
Yeah, it's built-in DAC. I mean, they've tried hard with it. They haven't just stuck any old rubbish in.
No,
they've done
no.
I think it's based on their QXR DAC 2nd gen, and I think it uses for chip fans. It's the ESS Sabre ES9038 Q2M.
Very good.
Now, Mike, name a popular musical fidelity DAC that uses those DAC chips.
Holy cow!
So it's the M6 DAC, which I'm just reviewing for StereoNET. So I that's the only reason I know.
I've got an M5 DAC.
Oh wow!
You sold it to me.
Yeah, so that's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. It's a really nice DAC actually.
It's a very good DAC.
Really cool.
Yeah, very old now, but
Yes.
quite collectible.
Yes, oldie but goodie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So anyway, moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
So it's really great. It's. Did you make a cup of tea?
No, it's just water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hate to think I missed out on a cup of tea. I like your Triumph mug.
I can go and get you one if you want.
That reminds me, actually. I've just been to your bathroom again, and I've just found. Guess what I found this time in your bathroom?
A bathroom suite.
You
Toilet,
did that one
sink,
last
bed.
time. I found this. Look at this.
Wow.
This is excellent. What year is this from?
It's going to be, at a guess, 1977. Yeah.
November, December 77. Ford Cars All Model Catalogue. Now, the reason why this took my eye is because I passed my driving test in one of those. In that Cortina.
Cortina.
What mark was that? Is that like a Mark?
That's going to be the Mark IV.
Mark IV.
Yeah.
Very good.
So
Super cool. Fiestas and look at that Escort gear. Anyway, we digress. Amazing. How did we get onto that? Oh, because you had tea and I didn't. So, anyway.
What are we talking about again?
So, it's a really great amp.
Yeah.
It sounds lovely.
Can you pass it over?
Yes, of course, yeah. The DAC's really good. It does everything, but, and there's a but coming here, it has an upgrade path.
Right.
And it has a very strong upgrade path. And if you don't have a spare 2,000 something pounds, £2,500, you probably want to stop watching right now, because this is the power supply that goes with it. And this is, as David said, the PSU-XR, which uses said umbilical to connect. And this transforms it. Sorry, no pun intended. This transforms it with a massive transformer in here, as I can tell by my weight. This does all sorts of really, really clever things. Because it I think it's got something like 5 different outputs on this, and it chooses which ones to send through to the amp there, and totally enhances the sound. I was skeptical before I listened to this. I was thinking, power supplies. We tend to. It's something which we tend to neglect a lot, I think, and the importance of having a really, really good power supply. Yeah. And if anything were to bring it home to you, it's this XR here, because it just absolutely makes it amazing. Yeah. I can't begin to tell you the difference it makes. Everything just sort of suddenly, opens up. And we said on a previous riff, about sound stages. In fact, we were talking about the Audio-Technica OC9 cartridge and the sound stages like that. And then with the AT33, you said, it goes like that. That's the same with this.
It has. I think it has a very big effect. But if we start with this by itself, So this by itself, 3595.
Yes.
And this is a very good amplifier.
It is
for the money, I would say.
Very good.
So you're kind of. I think there are more powerful amps around at the price, and in some ways possibly some more characterful ones. I'm thinking about the Exposure 3510 integrated,
one of our favourites,
which is a bit cheaper, but it's a great amp.
Yes,
and in fact, I think the Exposure 3510 pre-power costs about the same as this.
Yes, or maybe the 3510 with the DAC.
Yeah,
it gets a bit closer as well, doesn't it? For like. But
obviously, this is everything's packaged up into one small form factor. This is the original sort of case, as I say, that came out with the Cyrus 3 back in the early 90s, I think it was. And they have changed the buttons along there. That's a bit of a tweak, because they used to have different buttons, and that's changed. So it's kind of swish and modern looking, but it's a testament to how well the design was done, how good, that this basically 1990s, early 90s design that's absolutely gorgeous now.
I love the form factor.
Yeah,
I really do. I really like this size. I think it's spot on.
I also like the matte, the kind of matte black as well, satin black finish as well. It's really nice.
Absolutely, it's glorious, isn't it? Yeah, so, and just the sort of the way they've sort of carved Cyrus into the casing. The attention to detail is lovely. It really is well put together.
It really is, and you can. How can I say? So you think about most amplifiers are basically a pressed steel box, aren't they?
Yeah.
With an aluminium fascia often, or brushed aluminium or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
But some real thought's gone into this.
It really
it's a
has.
lovely piece of industrial design.
Yeah, fab.
And it's trying to bring together lots of things. So it's got moving magnet phono stage. It's got 4 line RCA line ins. Doesn't have any balanced XLRs. That'll mark it down with some sort of geeky people who take these things very seriously.
Yes.
It's got an analog preamp out, which is really handy. A headphone out, and it's got digital inputs as well, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
But a lovely aluminium case, and really swish, I think, is probably the best word I'd use.
Drives 2 pairs of speakers as well, if you're into that.
Yeah. So
which is quite cool.
It's so it does everything. Sound quality wise, I'd say it's very good, but not breathtaking by itself.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So you get a kind of typically clean sort of Cyrus sound. It's sort of detailed and clean, and quite musical.
Yes.
Tonally, it's not quite as rich as some, I think. It's quite dry in some ways. But when you plug that in, then it really pushes it up more than I would expect.
I think if you're going to buy one of those, you will definitely end up buying one of these.
Yes.
I think there's no two ways about it. And then I think you've got a fairly stunning combination. There's a however coming, isn't there? Because what is the price of these two put together? Did we work out?
It's about $6,000, isn't it? Something like that.
Like a hair's width under £6,000, isn't it?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of bucks, then, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot of bucks. And then all of a sudden you're getting into different territory, aren't you? But I think it holds its own.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I think both these components together, it's a very synergistic combination.
Yeah.
To say the very least. And can I just show you kind of like just the sort of the icing on the cake here?
Yeah, go on.
I really like this. They've got a really lovely remote control, and it's you can just about see there. I've touched it, so it's lit up.
Yes.
And
let's just put it the right way up.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. Sorry. It's a really lovely remote control.
Yeah.
It's really nicely thought out. It's really tactile. It feels very premium. In our era where our remote controls all seem to be the same remote controls, just with rebadged.
Yeah.
This is not at all. This is a lovely thought out bit of kit which works with all of their products.
Yeah.
So one size fits all. I like that.
Yep.
I think that's brilliant.
Yep. So all goes together with a kind of swish user experience.
It really does.
So show the viewers the music that we've been
playing.
Okay.
Yeah, good shout. So a few sort of standards for us, a few classics. Crime of the Century, Supertramp. I went to see Roger Hodgson.
Did you?
A couple of years ago, at the Albert Hall, and he's a bit of a legend.
Yeah.
He sort of faithfully reproduced some tracks from this, including
must have been amazing.
School and Dreamer and Crime of the Century itself. Really good. I think
that's their best album.
I think it's their best album and also the best produced album.
Yep. Best recorded.
Yeah. I think this is really lovely, actually.
So really, on vinyl, original pressing on vinyl, it sounds superb.
The piano bit in School sounds great.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to diss it with these because I thought these stand up really well.
Yeah.
It sounds absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Another classic, and I do love this, and we listened to some Lloyd Cole recently. We listened to Easy Pieces, which was the Difficult second album. This is the album which put them on the map, Rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic album. Not the last word in production.
Yeah.
But with the Cyrus, it sounds absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Couple of favourite tracks on here, I have to say. There's a couple I really like.
Perfect Skin is great.
I like Four Flights Up.
Yeah.
It's a really good track, actually. Very, very good. Very good.
And what's the last track on that? It's
Heartbroken.
No, it's no. That's a CD issue. It's Are You Ready to Be Heartbroken is absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
I Never Was No Good.
So there's I really like Patience as well.
That's a brilliant song. You can't find a bad song on the album, to be fair. And again, not the last word in hi-fi, but it's very, it works really, really well with a musical system.
Yes, I think it sort of shows how the i9XR sort of plays music. Is it sort of bustles along?
It does.
It's pretty rhythmic. It's sort of engaging. It's not a kind of super etched and ultra mega detailed hi-fi kind of sound. It's not sort of like Japanese high end. But it just kind of gets into the groove and it sort of bustles along in a great way.
I think the thing about these products particularly is they're totally livable with.
Yeah.
And they sort of sit there very unobtrusively, very stylishly in the background without taking too much room, and they can deliver a really, really great musical experience. And I think that's not to be understated. Because lots of hi-fi these days is sort of, wires and big bits of kit, and like your Musical Fidelity amp, as cool as that is, it's just too big. It's massive, isn't it?
Yes.
And yet, little discrete boxes like this can sound, fantastic.
Absolutely. I think that's, part of the appeal of these is the packaging of them, isn't it? So
we I'll save one till last.
Okay.
So we go back to our youth a little bit. Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
Lancia.
Lancia
I think
2000. It's an Alfa Romeo.
Lancia 2000.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Used to belong to his photographer, Stig Hudenguden. In fact, what's his guy? Storm Thorburn.
Thorburn.
Cliff Thorburn. Yeah. Cliff Thorbur's car.
Yes, Cliff Thorburn's. Cliff Thorburns Austin Allegro.
That's what it is.
Pla.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. For me,
it's a great album.
It starts off with probably the worst song Peter Gabriel's ever done, in my opinion. Moribund the Burgermeister.
Yes.
And then it kind of gets better from there, doesn't it?
So, I think you had to be on certain type of drugs to be.
Maybe. But, Humdrum and Here Comes the Flood. Some great songs on there.
Yeah.
And not an album you would associate with evaluating hi-fi, but one of the great albums of all time, Heartful of Hollow by the Smiths.
Yeah.
This is inspired, isn't it? For a sort of a compilation album almost.
Yep.
This is stunningly good.
So that came out, I think, just after Smith's first album.
Yes.
Obviously on vinyl at that time, they weren't putting it out on CD.
No.
It was kind of sold for a discount, it's like £2.99.
It was really cheap.
Yeah. And it's just full of their very early B-sides.
Yes.
And they're brilliant. Those early B-sides are fantastic.
Yes,
I think. So I was diligently buying everything on 12-inch, and on the 12-inch, you got like 2 or 3 more really good songs plus the single.
Yes.
And they all ended up on that album.
And the version of Hand in Glove on this is way better than on anything else.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But actually, sometimes you need to play records which aren't very well produced to really appreciate your hi-fi system.
Yeah, and the thing about that as well is that it wasn't fancy production. It was basic analog studio. It's probably like 16-track or 24-track tops, and pretty low budget. But if the hi-fi works well, it won't distract you. That sort of basic, you're just kind of lock into the music regardless of whether it's a fancy production, it's good recording or not.
It's all too easy to play, your Nora Jones or your London Grammar or something, which is amazingly well recorded, and just be wowed by any system. Yeah. But actually, to play some pretty average recordings and still get a beguiling sound is takes some decent kit, I think.
Yeah.
So enter the Cyrus XR series.
These
very
absolutely
good.
personify that.
Yeah.
And I think also that this sort of higher end one, it's basically, this is Cyrus's top amp, isn't it?
Yes.
It's considerably better than the classic amp.
Yes, it is.
We tried that a while back.
We did.
And that's a very good thing at the price. But
this is the Mutz, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also we've got to give these back pronto because they're going to the Bristol show, aren't they?
Yeah.
So again, you'll be able to have my experience and listen to them at this year's Bristol show, hopefully, and enjoy them as much as I did.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's a little plug for the Bristol show too.
Yes.
So brilliant. And on that note, let's have a quick riffometer on these, shall we?
Yeah. So,
do you want to do this with or without the power supply? Should we do it as a whole?
Let's do it as a whole.
Yeah. That's fair, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give it 8.5.
Yeah.
So actually, it's a great sounding product. I'm only dropping it down because it's limited in power compared to some of the amps you can buy at that price, such as the Musical Fidelity M8XI, which is only a little bit more expensive than these two together, and has more watts than your average power station. These are this is roughly 100 watts into 6 ohms and a bit less into 8. So that's if you have reasonably efficient speakers or you have a reasonably modestly sized room, then you'll never find this combination breathless at all.
No, true.
But if you have got really tricky speakers to drive, then there are things that are for around the same price that have a lot more power and driving ability. So it kind of gets marked down on its lack of power, even though for most people they would never see it as having a lack of power. But there are some people who have massively inefficient speakers like LS35As, those kind of things.
Yes.
Who might want more. It's a great combination. I really like it. I think it's a fantastic sounding amp combination. But if power is your thing, there are others around.
Sure. Excuse me. Yeah. I used them with my electrostatics, and it worked beautifully.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautifully. So I'm going to give them a 9.
Okay.
The only caveat I would say is, if you buy that, you'll have to buy that.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. You will end up with both. So
that's a great point. And again, that sort of focuses in that you end up buying, you start buying a £3,500 amp and it suddenly becomes a $6,000 one, because that makes a great deal of difference and makes it a absolutely superb sounding amp. But then it's $6,000. It's not $3,500.
Exactly. So, but there we are. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff, and we will see you at the very next one. Thanks a million. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.